Today, I want to talk to you about 4 steps to create the life that you love. Now, let's just set the stage for this. The life that you love can look like anything that you want it to look like. It can be like having the freedom to travel when you want and where you want. It can be owning a home. It can be having a successful business. It can be the ability to spend more time with your family. Whatever that is, you deserve to have the life that you love. And for so many of us, we don't have that life. We don't have the life that we love. And I'm raising my hand because at one point I was struggling to even figure out what I wanted or what my life could possibly look like. So that's what I want to talk to you about today. I want to talk to you about, first of all, what does this dream life look like? What is the love? What would a really amazing life look like to you? And then I want to talk to you a little bit about why most of us don't have the life that we want. Like what holds us back. And then I'm going to give you a 4-step framework to help you create the life that you love. So go ahead in the chat. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Let me know what you hope to get out of this conversation today. So the first thing that I want to know is, what's a big dream that you haven't achieved yet? What's something that you haven't achieved yet? Maybe it's to travel. Maybe it's to start your own business. Maybe you want to buy a home. Maybe it's a car. Maybe it's a certain lifestyle that you want. Maybe you just want to graduate university. What is a big dream that you haven't achieved yet? Let me know. What's a big dream that you haven't achieved yet? And the reason why we have to kind of start here is because sometimes in life we really want something. We have this strong desire to get something, and because of circumstances or setbacks or whatever that is, we just let it go and we forget all about it. So in the chat, let me know what's a big dream that you haven't achieved yet. Somebody on Instagram said start my own business. Somebody else said travel more. Okay. So someone said start your own business. Somebody said to travel more. And so what is that thing that is getting in the way of achieving that big dream? What's holding you back from that big dream? See, I remember when I was in the corporate world and I would just be sitting at my desk wondering, like, is this it? Is this as good as life gets? Like waking up every day, putting in these long hours for a job, to not get paid my worth, to constantly be overlooked for promotions, to beg for vacation time that I was owed. Like, is this as good as it gets? And I had to ask myself that 10 years ago when I was in the corporate world. And when I got clear, somewhat clear about what I wanted, the goals and the dreams that I had to stop and ask myself, like, what's really holding me back from achieving this? And so that's my question to you. What is holding you back from achieving that big goal or that big dream? Now, for me, it was fear. I was afraid of what other people would say if I told people that I had this big dream and I failed. I was so afraid of what other people had to say. And that fear held me in place for a very long time. I stayed comfortably uncomfortable in my job. And what that means is, like, you're not really comfortable where you are, but you're not so uncomfortable that you're willing to actually do something about it. And so for me at that time, I was comfortably uncomfortable. And the thing is, I see so many people like this. I see so many people who get up, go to a job that doesn't bring them joy and happiness. I see people, start a business or take action in their business that they don't have a passion for. And these things weigh on you over time. Working in the corporate world, I've seen so much sick leave, so much stress leave. I've seen people die from different ailments. And I'm not saying that those ailments could have been avoided, but if they weren't as stressed out. if they weren't working crazy hours, if they were taking better care of themselves, then maybe that wouldn't happen. So, what getting in the way of you living that dream? I want you to think about this because the lies that we tell ourselves about what's possible and the lies that we tell ourselves about what's really holding us back are not true. I thought about starting a business long ago, and every time I thought about starting this business, I had these limiting beliefs that said, "Hey, Coach Stone, you don't know anything about business. You don't know. No one in your family had a successful business. You're a university dropout. How do you think that you could run a business? You're not even really good with money. So how can you start a business?" These were all the lies that I told myself every time I had that big dream of starting my own business. And that fear of what other people would say and that fear of me not being good enough in my mind stopped me from starting my business for a very, very long time. And so for you, you have to ask yourself, like, what do I really want and what's getting in the way? So some of this might be true for you. Like what holds a lot of people back is really like living someone else's version of their dream. I meet so many people that are living someone else's version of their dream. What does that mean? It means that you went to university to study what your parents wanted you to study, or you got this job because your brother has this job, or you started this business because a cousin of you told you that you should do this business. See, so many of us are living someone else's version of our dreams, of their dreams. And I see this so often. I've coached so many people who are doctors and lawyers and all these different professions. And when I ask them, are you happy? Do you enjoy what you're doing? So many of them say no. And I say, well, why did you become a doctor? And they'll say, because of my mother, because of my father. So what holds people back is living someone else's version of their dream. I see someone here, Logica said, mental health, thinking too much, staying in my comfort zone. That is so true. Overthinking can really overwhelm us. We start to ruminate, well, what if this happens? And what if, and what if? And the problem with overthinking is we think the worst. If you were overthinking the best, you would just start, right? But a lot of us, our overthinking is the worst. Well, what if this happens? And what if, and what if, and what if? And in the worst case scenario, what if it did happen? What if my business failed? What if I tried to make a significant amount of money and I didn't? What if I fell short on my dream to serve more people or to speak on stages or write my book? What's the worst thing that could happen? The worst thing that could happen is you could take that information and restart. You could take that information and start again. And I think for so many of us, I can relate to that. Is just like we just overthink our situation. So overthinking holds us back. The lack of clarity. I was so unclear about what it is that I wanted in my life that I was just jumping from shiny thing to shiny thing to shiny thing. I was like, oh, okay, I want this. Or somebody in my job got a promotion. Okay, I want to get a promotion. I never really even wanted the job, but I just thought that my path was to work the corporate ladder, get an entry level job, work up to a supervisor, then a manager, then a director, then maybe a vice president if I could ever get to that level. And that was the dream. And look, if that's your dream, there's nothing wrong with that. But I realized that that wasn't even my dream. It was somebody else's dream. And I realized that I just didn't know what I wanted. So the lack of clarity just had me chasing so many different things. What else holds people back? Limiting beliefs. The I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'll never be able to figure this out. I can't own my own business. I'm a university dropout. I'll never be able to travel to this country. So we have these limiting beliefs. And these limiting beliefs are these this inner voice that just continues to nag at you. Every time that you have a new idea, every time that you get excited about something, that voice says, "Oh, you tried this before. Don't do it again. Last time you did that, you fell off. Why are you going to do this to yourself again? You know you're not smart enough for that." And that voice just keeps talking and talking and talking until it talks us out of taking action. Anybody relate to this? Hey, Marjorie. So the things that hold us back is these limiting beliefs. And I call these limiting beliefs the lies, right? These are really lies that we tell ourselves because we're afraid of what's next. We're afraid of the unknown. How many of us have stayed at a job much longer than we wanted to just because we were afraid to go and look for another job because we didn't know what it would be like over there? Raising my hand, right? So these limiting beliefs just hold us back. Another thing that holds us back is our past. We're always thinking about what happened before, right? The past mistakes, the failures, the setbacks, the wrongdoings. The past holds us back. I meet so many people that focus on yesterday and what was, and sometimes it's not even the bad things that happen. So many people focus on the good times. Oh, high school was the best, or university was my best days, or I'm never going to have better days than that. And we stay focused on the past instead of being appreciative of the present while we create our future. I'm raising my hand. These are all things that have held me back, right? Um, Logica said, thinking what's gonna happen in the future. We think so much about the future, and here's what's interesting about the future. Like, we always think about the negative side of the future. What if we decided to think that we could create this powerful, beautiful life for ourselves? How come we never think about that? We're so focused on the past and what was great about it or what was bad about it, that we don't sit in where we are right now. We don't appreciate the journey, like appreciate how far you've come to get to this point. But many of us don't do that. Another thing that really holds a lot of people back is they don't have a personal roadmap. There's no plan to achieve what they want. And here's the thing. I disagree with a lot of people. I don't think that you need a plan to get started. I never had a plan to get started on my writing my book. I never had a plan to get started on writing my podcast. I never had the perfect plan on launching my business. I think that you have to get started, and then along the way, you have to develop your own personal plan to make it happen. So, what are you going to do every single day to make that goal or that dream a reality? Most of us don't have a roadmap. We don't have a way to get there. It's like getting in the car and just deciding to drive, and then you just drive and drive and drive, and you end up at a destination that you never anticipated being at and that you're not even excited about. That's how we wake up every single day. We wake up with no destination, no vision for our life. We don't know what we want. And so, why are we surprised that we don't get it? You can't be surprised that you don't get something that you didn't know that you wanted, right? So, what is the roadmap? What are you going to do to get there? Now, I always say this: the best way to develop your own personal roadmap is take out a piece of paper, you draw a circle, and you divide it into pie pieces. And each one of those pie pieces represents an area of your life that's really important. So you might say your health and wellness, you might say family, you might say your career, your business, your finances, your personal development. You might have all of these areas. And then what you're going to do is you're going to rate where you are in that area of your life right now. So where are you in terms of your health and wellness? And you're going to be completely honest, right? Out of 10, you would say, I'm a 4 out of 10, or I'm a 7 out of 10. This is where I am with my health and wellness right now. And you're going to go through all of those areas of your life and you're going to rate your current state. This is where I am in terms of my family, my health, my wellness, my finances, my business, my career. You rate yourself as where you are right now. Then what you're going to do is the future, what you want that to look like in the future. You're going to rate what your ideal health would look like, your ideal finances, your ideal family situation. You rate what you want it to be. So now when you look at that circle and that pie chart, you have a starting point. This is where I am right now in my health, wellness, relationship, finances, career. This is where I want to be. Now, you look at that whole wheel and you say, okay, what are the two most important areas for me to focus on right now? You pick two areas to focus on right now, and you write down everything that you can possibly do to get from where you are in that area of your life to where you want to be. You make a full list. You might have to come back to it for a few days, but you make a full list of everything that you can do. And then you start to form that into your own personal plan. Now you start to organize it into, okay, this is what I can do this month. This is what I can do next month, next month, next month. Now you're starting to develop your own personal roadmap. But most of us don't have a roadmap. We don't have it. So how can we get where we want to go if we don't have a roadmap? That's what holds a lot of us back. We get discouraged because we don't see a clear path. When you can see a clear path to where you want to go, or as Tony Robbins says, when you have a compelling future, you can sort of deal with the pain of right now. When you know the future is going to be better, when you know the future is going to be brighter, it gives you hope. And a lot of us can sort of adhere to the pain if we know that there's hope and we know that the future can be brighter. But if you don't have a roadmap, you don't have a clear vision for your life, it's going to be very discouraging. So that's what holds some of us back. The other thing is lack of focus, right? Have you ever like set a goal or had a dream and then all of a sudden you get sidetracked with all these other things that are going on? You take a look and you say, okay, this is what's going on social media. My cousin's doing this and this and this. We need to learn how to focus. You got to put those blinders on and focus on what you want. And here's the thing, not everyone's going to understand that. Sometimes it might be you missing hanging out with people. It might be you kind of not answering people's calls because you need to focus on what it is that you're trying to do to create a life that you love. And I realized this a long time ago, like not everybody's going to understand that. Sometimes people are going to be annoyed that you didn't take their call, that you're not coming to hang out. But if you want to take your life to another level, you got to get focused. You got to get focused and you got to filter. You need focus and filter. So you need to focus on the things that are going to get you closer to what you want, the conversations and all these other things I'm going to tell you about in a minute. And then you need to filter out the noise. You got to filter out the people, the ideas, the mindset, the procrastination. You got to filter out all of the things that aren't helping you to move in the direction of your goals and dreams. Is this making sense to you? Let me know if this is making sense. Logica said, "Yeah, I had that." Logica said on Instagram, "My mind travels everywhere." And look, it's perfectly normal. Now, one tip that I use to focus is I do 20 to 30 minutes. I start there, sometimes up to an hour, but I do 20 to 30 minutes of focused, dedicated action on a goal or a dream. So anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes, I put my phone on silent, I put my timer on, and I just go to work on that goal or that dream for 30 to 60 minutes. It's called the Pomodoro method. And what it does is you have a big goal or big dream. You put aside dedicated time, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 15, whatever you can initially. And what you try to do is you try to dedicate that time, take a small little 5-minute break, go back to doing the thing again, take another break, and you do that as many times as you can throughout the day. And what happens is you'll be surprised at how much you get done in a day in 20 or 30-minute dedicated segments of time. And so, maybe you can't do that much, but figure out the time frame that you can, lock in on it, just hyper focus on the thing that you're doing. If it's exercise, if it's working on your business, if it's trying to figure out your finances, if it's travel plans or whatever it is, dedicate that time every single day. And what'll happen is in 30, 60, 90 days, you'll shock yourself. You'll be like, I did that? But most of us don't focus. We get easily distracted. So try that. That might be a method that could work for you. Exercise. Logica said exercise. Exercise is great because another thing you can do when you're exercising is habit stacking. So I work out, I'll listen to podcasts, I'll work on, coaching clients information. So while I'm working out, I'm doing like 2 or 3 different things. I might be listening to a podcast. I might be working on my next live stream. I might be working on something for a client. And so exercise is a great way to kind of, habit stack. For those of you who missed the last live stream, I talked about habit stacking, what that is. And you can go back and watch that and listen to that on the Grind and Gratitude show. And then the last thing that holds people back is the lack of discipline. We're just not disciplined. You take a little bit of action, you fall off. You go hard for 2 or 3 days or 2 or 3 weeks, you fall off for another 2 or 3 weeks. Discipline is about taking daily, consistent, massive action to get you what you want. And here's the thing. I've coached a lot of people. And what people always say to me is, Coach, I just don't have the time. I don't have time to work on this goal. I don't have time to go to the gym. I don't have all this time to take courses. I don't have time. And I don't have time is really an excuse because we all have the same 24 hours. When someone says to me, I don't have time, the first thing I say is, okay, I want you to give me an audit of how you spend your day. You mean to tell me you don't have 30 minutes or 60 minutes in a day to focus on creating a life that you love, on creating a life that's better for yourself? We all have that time. And this is the reason I don't work with coaching clients one-on-one unless they agree to have a morning ritual. See, with a morning ritual, we agree that you are going to get up 30 minutes earlier every single morning. I'll never take on a coaching client unless they agree to have a morning ritual. Why? Because if you don't care about your dream, if you don't care about creating a better life for yourself, so much so that all you got to do is wake up 30 minutes earlier than you should every day and take action on certain things, then there's no point in us working together. Because you're never going to be dedicated, you're never going to be disciplined enough to do other bigger things that you need to do. So one of the things that when people say that is like, we all have time. And the lack of discipline is really just about fear. Sometimes we get close to what we want and we actually scare ourselves because we realize that it can actually happen. And that's terrifying, right? We're afraid of success. And so I see people self-sabotage. I see people getting momentum sometimes, and then all of a sudden they just stop. They stop taking action on their goals and dreams because they're afraid of what their life will look like when they achieve that goal or that dream. So we need to be more disciplined, right? These are just a few of the things that I've noticed with coaching clients that hold us back. Any comments? Anyone can chime in. Is there anything I left off of this list? I'm sure there's many, many things. Logica said, you're a multitasker. We all have the ability to habit stack. We can all do 2 or 3 things at the same time, or you can do 1 or 2 things in sequence. So for me, my morning ritual is I wake up and then I pray. And then when I finish praying, that's an indication for me to journal. And then when I journal, that's an indication for me for my affirmation. So that's another form of habit stacking as well. Marjorie said, ouch. Maybe I'm being a little bit harsh, but here's the thing. For me to be able to help you see what's holding you back, it can't always be love and rainbows. And this is what I needed from me. I needed a coach to get into me, be like, hey, Coach Stone, you're capable of so much more. See, I used to be a shy, timid kid. If you knew me when I was a kid, up until a certain age, I was so shy, I would hardly talk. And then now when people see me speaking on stages and podcasts and I come across as being confident, that never happened overnight. That happened over years and years and years and years of me finding my voice, of me sharing some of my story with other people and them saying, hey, Coach Stone, that really inspired me. Tell me more. So I'm saying this because most of us can't see our potential. We don't realize that we have a champion inside of us. And we have to learn to listen to other people. Sometimes other people see stuff in you that you have no idea you're capable of. And that's why you have to get into communities and get around people who are going to challenge you to do more. Too many of us are having the same conversations over and over and over again, talking about the same things about one day I'm going to do this and one day I'm going to do that. Those conversations aren't taking you anywhere. You need conversations that are going to challenge you, got to move you forward. And I'm going to talk to you about CMA, because CMA is what you have to start thinking about if you want to transform your life. So let me pause here. Chris said, what about lack of accountability or accountability partner? Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that. The lack of accountability is another reason why we stay stuck. And some people say, hey, Coach Stone, I can't afford a coach. I don't have anybody in my life who will hold me accountable. And I understand that. But there's different ways to hold yourself accountable. One of the ways that I hold myself accountable is, one, yes, I have a coach. I have mentors. But I also hold myself accountable on social media. So anybody who's been following me for a while, you know that I sort of had a resurgence with my health and wellness about 6 months ago. I decided that I have a fitness goal I want to achieve. And I also decided that as a part of that goal, I was going to walk, 5 to 10,000 steps every single day. I did it in the snow, in the rain. It's been about 6 months. To be honest with you, I haven't missed many days at all. And the way that I hold myself accountable is, one, I post how many steps I walked each week. So you can see that some days I achieve my goal, some days I don't. I try not to be unsuccessful with that goal 2 days in a row. The other thing that I do, I hold myself accountable, is I do walk and talks. So while I'm walking and I'm getting my exercise in, I go live and I talk to people. So it's another way for me to hold myself accountable. So figure out ways to hold yourself accountable to do what you say you're going to do. You can join online communities. You can get a coach. You can get a mentor, or you can just say, look, every Tuesday, I am going to post, all of the things that I've done towards this goal. Those are ways that we can hold ourselves accountable. I love it. I love this conversation. So my question is, how do we stop living the same day over and over and over again? Because that's what's happening. A lot of people live the same day over and over and over again. I remember, I remember this was about 4 years ago. Somebody comes to me and they're like, "Hey, Coach Stone, I love your stuff." They wanted me to be their coach, and I said, "Okay, well, what's happening? Tell me a little bit about what's going on in your life right now." And she said, "I just feel like I'm living the same day over and over and over and over again." And the thing about that is, it's not a great day. I'm living a mediocre day over and over and over again. That's what she said to me. And she said, what I want to create is, I want this beautiful life. I want more joy and more happiness. I want to make a greater impact in life. I don't want to live the same day over and over and over again. A day that just doesn't bring me joy, happiness, and fulfillment. And when she said that, I was like, you are so right. So many people are living like this. So how do we do it? Like we have to stop living the same day over and over again. How? You say, how, Coach Stone? How? I know that. I know that's what you're thinking. Well, CMA. The thing about being a lifelong student and the thing about being open to information is when you are open, when you have a growth mindset, and I've talked about this before, the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. You can go back and listen to a previous podcast episode or watch a previous video here on YouTube. But a fixed mindset means it is very pessimistic. You don't have hope for the future. You think things just are the way they are. You don't think things will ever get better. You're very limited about your views of the world. And because you have a fixed mindset, you often miss opportunities because they don't come the way that you want because of your pessimistic mindset. A growth mindset is more optimistic. You understand that your situation can change. You can learn new things. A setback isn't permanent. And because you have a growth mindset, you're open to new information, new opportunities, new places, new things. And so it was a few weeks ago, I was talking to my friend, Coach Lovemore. And Coach Lovemore said something to me. She's like, Coach Stone, like, I just love our conversations. I love your videos. I love the information that you provide. And she said, I'm always meditating on it afterwards for some time. And she goes, I just like that feeling. I like just getting information that forces me to think. And I said, you know what? That's amazing. And as I'm talking to her, and this is my growth mindset, as I'm talking to Coach Lovemore, I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago, it came to me, CMA. I said, conversations, meditation, application. She said, what do you mean? I said, well, we need to have really powerful conversations, right? We need to have elevated conversations. We can't continue to have the same conversations about the same things with the same people because you stay stuck in time. You stay stuck with your thinking. So we need to have elevated conversations. We need to talk about new topics and new ideas and new goals and dreams. So we need those conversations, but we also need to be a part of webinars, and we need to go to seminars, and we need to watch videos and read books that are going to elevate our thinking. So that's all around the conversation part. So what are the conversations that you're having? What podcasts are you listening to? What courses are you taking? What seminars are you attending? We got to elevate those conversations. Then the meditation is once you get that information, now you got to go and meditate on it. Now you have to make it make sense to you. And sometimes people do that, sometimes people don't. I meet a lot of people. I meet a lot of people who are really great at regurgitating quotes, are really good at regurgitating facts. And I say, okay, well, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean to you? That's where they get stuck. The meditation part, they give you all the quotes, they have all the right sayings, but the meditation part, well, what does that mean to you? Make it make sense to you. And I find a lot of people don't make it to the meditation. They constantly take in information. They're constantly reading and attending seminars and all of these things, but then they don't do the M. They don't meditate on it. They don't make it make sense to them, put it in their own words, reframe it for themselves. Because when you can do that, when you take something and you make it make sense to you, you should then be able to make it make sense to someone else. But I see a lot of people falling off track with the meditation. And then the application, I see even very few people applying what they learn. Now that you meditated on it, you thought about it, it makes sense to you. Well, yeah, Coach Stone, the CMA does make sense. Conversation, meditation, application. Okay, I need to apply this to my life. I can't stay stuck in one area. I need to apply this learning. I need to apply what I learned about fitness. I need to apply what I learned about starting a business. I need to apply what I learned about writing a book. I need to apply what I learned about speaking on stages. You need to apply it. And it can be messy. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you just got to apply it. And a lot of us fall short with the CMA. CMA, conversations that elevate you, that take your thinking to another level, that help you to break through limiting beliefs. Meditation, you make that information make sense to you so that you can make it make sense to other people. And then the application, you now go put into practice what you just learned. CMA. The reason why this came to me 3 or 4 weeks ago when I was talking to Coach Lovemore is because I have a growth mindset. And guess what happened? Right after that conversation, guess what I did? I went and I flushed all of this out. Right after that conversation, I started writing down conversations. Yeah, that's what this means. Meditation. Yeah, you got to think about it, make it make sense to you. Then you got to apply it. I did that right after the conversation. I put the CMA into practice. Then guess what I did? I went live and I said, hey, I just got off of a conversation with Lovemore, and this is what I learned, CMA. And I remember the conversation. People were like, yo, this is amazing, right? That is CMA in action. It doesn't have to be messy. I didn't even have the idea fully fleshed out before I decided to go live on Instagram and YouTube and just flush out the idea right there. That is the perfect example of CMA. So which part of this do you need to focus on more? Do you need to focus more on having elevated conversations, watching more motivational stuff, going to seminars, courses? Do you need to spend more time on the conversations? Do you need to stay more focused on meditation? Like now you get a lot of information, but you got to make it make sense to you. Or do you think that you need to focus more on the application? Which one do you need to focus on the most? Logica said, how long is this going on for? 1 hour? Yeah, about an hour. We're going to go live for an hour today. So which area of CMA either you think you need to focus on or resonates the most with you? Which one of these areas? Conversations, meditation, application. Let me know which area, kind of resonates with you the most, which one you think you need to spend the most time on, which one you should dedicate more time to. And sometimes it doesn't even seem logical because sometimes people are action takers, but then they don't really make it make sense. They just run into action. So some people might be thinking, well, aren't these just kind of logical? People would do all three of these things before they get. No, not necessarily in that sequence. Sometimes people they're action takers and they don't even think about making it make sense first. Or sometimes they think that they have all the information. They don't even want to talk to anybody else. They just take their own ideas without any outside influence. So that's what we're talking about, CMA. So how do you apply CMA? How do you apply all of this to your life to create a life that you love? That's what you probably wonder. You're like, okay, Coach Stone, this is all right, but how do I apply all this? What do I do? Well, for the last 10 years, I have been going all in on personal development, personal growth, goals, mindset. When I decided to leave my corporate job 10 years ago, write my book, You Have the Keys, Now Drive, start my own coaching business, I decided that I just wanted to become hyper-focused on why some people are successful and why some people aren't. What holds people back? What propels people to achieve the life they want? Why some people are able to, push through adversity, and some people who haven't had those many challenges in their life just can't get started. And what I realized is that there's actually 4 areas of our life, or 4 sort of pillars, that if we focus on all these things and we master these 4 areas, you can actually create a life that you love. And I call it sort of the dream life framework. Now, I don't know. I just decided that's what I'm going to call it. I'm still working on the title, but the Dream Life Framework. And the reason why I did this is because I reverse engineered all the times that I was stuck. I reverse engineered all the times that I pushed through and I was able to achieve things that I didn't think I could. And then I started thinking about the hundreds of coaching conversations that I've had with people. And I started mapping all this stuff out. And it all started kind of coming to me. It was like, okay, there's 4 things that if people learn to master, they will actually take their life to a whole nother level. And for those who don't know, my first real job, I was doing job search training for young people aged 16 to 24. So they would come in and we do all this job search stuff. I did that for a few years. And then I transitioned into a career counselor, a career coach. And I worked in a very busy career center. We were seeing thousands and thousands of people a year. And so I was coaching people. And what I realized in career coaching people was there was a lot of life stuff getting in the way. So I ended up doing a lot more life coaching than career coaching. And this was hundreds and hundreds of people. And so I started thinking about all of that. And what came to me is there's really 4 areas that if we learn to master these 4 areas, you can take your life to another level. So my question is, do you want to know what these 4 areas are? Do you want to know these 4 pillars? Let me know in the chat if you want to know. If you don't, we can just end it right here. But if you want to know the 4 pillars, type yes in the chat. Marjorie said, I have a lot of conversations, but not much meditation and no application. Absolutely. I agree. Thank you for your honesty. That's true. And that's where a lot of people are. Chris said, yes. Okay, here's the Dream Life Framework. This is so interesting. So step 1, and I'm saying steps loosely. I would just say phase 1 or pillar 1 is really about forgiveness. It's so interesting. The reason why myself and so many of my coaching clients stayed stuck, or the reasons why we got a little bit of momentum and then we fell off track, was this really big one: forgiveness. We didn't forgive ourselves for past mistakes, setbacks, and failures. We didn't forgive ourselves for the wrongdoings to other people. And we didn't forgive other people for wrongdoings to us. So I didn't realize that I had blockers blocking me from my blessings, blocking me from my opportunities, because I just didn't forgive. I didn't forgive myself for being a university dropout. I didn't forgive myself for relationships that I messed up. I didn't forgive myself for going in and out of debt. I didn't forgive myself for a lot of things. And then what I realized is I didn't forgive people who did me wrong. I was still telling the same old sob story that my dad wasn't around when I grew up and this happened to me. And I was using those things as anchors to validate my limiting beliefs. So I was justifying, oh, this is why you're not further ahead. Your dad wasn't around. Or this is why you're not further ahead, because this is what happened. I use those as excuses to hold me in place so I could stay comfortably uncomfortable and not challenge what my life was at the time. Forgiveness is so big. I've coached so many people who, when we talk about, like, when we really got down to what's holding them back, it was maybe a traumatic experience. It was somebody who didn't believe in them that they really admired. It was they messed up their relationship. It was they failed at something. They just didn't forgive themselves. I didn't forgive myself. And so when you understand that forgiveness might be holding you back, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that it doesn't require work, but it requires acknowledgement that maybe this is something that is getting in the way of me creating a life that I love. Everything you want starts with awareness. And a lot of us don't want to deal with the pain. We don't want to deal with the trauma. But we have to understand that there's these baggages holding us back from creating a life that we love. So that's one thing that we have to look at. Chris said, damn, that's powerful. Logica said, life is difficult to understand. Yes, it is. But really understanding the power of forgiveness. I've forgiven myself. I've forgiven people. Now, just because you forgive someone doesn't mean that you forget it. It means that you're forgiving yourself and you're forgiving other people so that you release that burden and it allows you to be open to the blessings that you deserve. You can't receive those things when you have this heavy heart, when you're still got these things weighing on you, when you still have this pain for what happened or for the wrongdoing that somebody else did to you. So forgiveness is the first thing. And many people say, oh, coach, I forgive everybody. There's nothing that's really holding me back when it comes to forgiving myself and other people. And then as I start to ask these questions, people start to open up, be like, yes, that is the thing that's holding me back. That's the thing that's getting in my way. I need to learn to forgive and let go. So forgiveness is the first one. Let me know if you have any questions about that. Any questions or comments about forgiveness? This was a really powerful one for me. I've had difficult conversations with people that I love over the years. Many of them didn't go the way that I expected. But here's the thing. It wasn't for them. It was for me. I needed to release that. So I had those difficult conversations to say, this is what I did. This is how I feel that you did me wrong. And I just wanted you to know. And I'm releasing it and I'm letting it go. And as soon as I let it go, I felt so much lighter. I just felt like I had these heavy shoulders. And as soon as I forgave that person or I had that difficult conversation, I just got lighter. And because I was lighter, I could now start to see powerful, positive things working for me that I never saw when I was carrying this heaviness. So Logica said letting go is difficult. Yeah, it's very difficult. But for me, I think it's necessary. And for a lot of people, I think it's necessary. Because honestly, it's a hidden blinder that most of us don't see. We don't see these things that are still holding us back. That teacher that didn't believe in us when we were 10. Our parent that told us we weren't good enough. That failed relationship we still beat ourselves up over. We don't realize that those are the things that kind of get in the way and sabotage us and create these limiting beliefs. So step one is all about forgiveness, right? Marjorie said, it's true. Those conversations are really hard. They are hard. But for me, the conversation is never about the other person. It's about what I need for me to let go so I can move on. And when I tell you I've had difficult conversations with people I love, like I've had difficult conversations with people I love. And after that conversation, we never spoke for almost 2 years. But I was okay with it. It was painful, it was hurtful, but I was okay because I owed it to myself to have that difficult conversation so I could release and let go. So I know about difficult hard conversations. Marjorie said sometimes we don't know how to get started. Yes, I agree. The way to get started is I said, well, for a few of the people, I said, look, I I really want to sit down and talk to you about something that's going to be very difficult and maybe even painful for both of us. But for me, I just need to talk to you about this because it's important that I let you know and I hear from you so that I can just let this go and we can move past it. There's no right or wrong way to start, but that's how I've started a lot of these conversations. Forgiveness. You all ready for number two? You ready for number two? We are talking about creating a life that you love. The first step is letting go, forgiving other people, forgiving yourself. You ready for step number two? Logica said, I know, Marge. I always go into tough situations that made it hard to understand. Later, I think they did just that, just do that. Yeah, exactly. All right. Chris said, yep. Okay, here we go. Step number 2, clarity. Develop a life vision and get super clear about what it is that you want and why it's a must. So many people I know don't know what they want in life. And this is not a knock on you at all. I mean, how would you know if you don't spend time thinking about it? Creating a life vision is one of the most powerful things that you can do for yourself. What do you want in your life? What do you want in all areas of your life that matter? What do you want for your family? What do you want for your personal development? What do you want in terms of your career or your business? Really asking yourself, what do I want? And why is it a must? Not why I should. Why should I go after this? Why should I start my own business? There's no should. Why must you? Why is it very important to you for your kids to live a certain lifestyle? Why is it very important to you to have this business, to make a greater impact in the world? Why is it important? And most of us don't even know this. So if we're unclear about what we want and why it's a must, how are we going to get it? I'm not saying that you can't accidentally get it, but you don't want to achieve things on accident. You want to achieve things knowing that it's coming to you. So clarity is the key. Get very clear about what you want. Now people say, hey, Coach Stone, that's really, I don't know, like that's tough. Like a life vision, what does that look like? I always tell people start with, what does the perfect day look like for you? Think of what a perfect day would look like for you. How do you wake up in the morning? Who are you waking up with? What are you doing throughout the day? What are some of the things that you do that are bringing you joy and happiness? What are the conversations that you're having? How are you feeling? If you start to map out a perfect day looks like this for me, that's a good starting point to start to create that vision for your life. Because what one of your goals could be is like, I want to create this day, this perfect day, as many times as I can over the course of my life. So get very clear about what it is that you want and why it's a must. And when I was in my corporate job, I didn't know what I wanted. I'm just, yeah, the thing about clarity is for many of us, we think we want what we think we should want what society tells us to want. So for me, I grew up in low income housing, surrounded by drugs and crime. I lost friends to gun violence, unfortunately. And the only goal that my mom had for me was just to get a quote unquote good job. Go out there and get yourself a good job. And I'm not knocking my mom, that's what she knew. So my goal in life was to get a good job. And when I got in that good job, I thought my job was just to work the corporate ladder, work my way up, make a certain amount of money every year in that corporate job, and I'm good. But that's not really what I wanted. And at some point, I realized I don't want that. So I knew what I didn't want, which is good, but I didn't know what I did want. And so I had to spend a lot of time creating this vision for my life, asking myself, what do I want in all those areas of my life that matter? And start getting really, really clear. And the thing about a vision is when you have a vision for your life, you really start to filter out the things, the people, and all the noise that aren't helping you create that vision for your life. So it's like your North Star. You start to say, well, is this person going to help me to get to that point? Doing this, is that going to help me? Watching 8 hours of TV every day, is that going to help me to create the vision for my life? Eating all this bad food and not working out, is that going to help me to create? So you start getting focused on all of the things that you're doing, and are they adding value to your life or taking away from that? So that's what having a life vision can do for you. It's like your North Star. That's why companies have vision statements and mission statements. They're extremely difficult to reach. It's something they constantly strive towards, but it's their North Star. They continue to strive towards that year after year after year. So, do you have clarity? Logica said, everyone wants peace. All right, that was number 2. Step number 3, we are moving through this 4-step framework to create a life that you love. Step number 3, focus. Now that you're clear about what you want, you got to stay focused on the right things and filter out the things that aren't getting you there. So, how do you stay focused? You have a roadmap, you have a plan, you have daily exercises and activities that you're going to do every single day towards that goal or that dream. You got to stay focused. Do you have accountability partners? Do you have a coach? Do you have mentors? Are you a part of online communities or in-person communities that are going in the same direction that you're going? Because that's going to help you to stay focused. See, some of us might know what we want, but we're not focused. We don't have a plan. We don't have a roadmap. We don't have accountability partners. So if you don't have those things, it's very difficult for you to stay focused. So we need to focus on the right things. And how do you know what the right things are? Well, you have a list of all of the things that are going to get you what you want in that area of your life. So for me, I have a fitness goal. 6 months ago, I said, look, this is where I am. I'm not where I want to be in terms of my health and my fitness. This is where I want to be. And not only is this where I want to be, I want to make this whole thing a lifestyle thing. So what do I need to do to improve my health and make it a lifestyle thing so that I can continue to do this for the rest of my life? So I had to make a full list of all of the things I can do. Then I went out and I found people who are already in the fitness world. What are the things they do? How do they think? What activities do they take? And then I adopted those things. And then once you adopt those things and you start doing them consistently for 66 days or more, because on average, it takes 66 days for something to become a habit. Some people say 21, some people say 30. There was research that was done by, I think, Stanford University, and they said on average, it takes 66 days for something to become automatic or become a habit. So as this thing, you keep doing these things and you keep taking action and you start to see you getting closer and closer and closer to your goal, what you're going to realize is 2 things. One, you're starting to become a heightened version of yourself. You have to stretch yourself and step outside of your comfort zone to get something that you've never been able to get. So a lot of people think that achieving that goal is so important and so powerful. And they don't pay attention to who they're becoming on the journey. That's why sometimes when people make $1 million, they say, oh, their goal is to make 1 million. They make 1 million and their life doesn't change whatsoever. They're actually more depressed when they achieve the 1 million. Why? Because they didn't focus on who they were becoming on the journey to the 1 million. So that's what happens when you take daily consistent action, or when you focus on the right things and you have a plan, right? You got this plan and you start implementing the plan. Now you start to focus. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. You get focused and you filter out the things that aren't going to help you get there. And guess what? This is going to be very difficult for someone to understand, but sometimes you have to filter out people. Sometimes you got to filter out people who are holding you back. And it's very difficult to understand. Maybe you're not ready to hear that, but it's true. Sometimes you have to put distance between you and some people. Sometimes it's temporary. Sometimes it may have to be permanent because they're very negative. Their limiting beliefs are seeping into your soul and they're stopping you from taking action on what it is that you want. I know everybody's not ready for that, but that's just the reality of it. So that's number 3. Number 3 is about focus. And then the last step is about discipline. You need to take daily, consistent, intentional actions on your goals and your dreams every day. And when I mean intentional, you don't want to get up and do it begrudgingly. You don't want, oh, I got to make these business calls today. Oh, I got to search for another job today. I mean, you are intentional. You're doing it because you know that you're going to reap the benefits of taking that action. You're doing it because you're putting the energy and the mindset behind it. That's what intentional means. So you need to take daily, consistent, intentional action. And then you need to learn how to bounce back from setbacks. You have to understand that setbacks are a part of life. On those days that I didn't exercise, or those days that I didn't walk my steps, or those days I didn't make all the business calls I should have made, yeah, I beat myself up a little bit, but then I bounced back. I said, this isn't going to happen 2 days in a row. And so for many of us, we get down on this downward spiral and we beat ourselves up for not doing the things that we should have. And then it just keeps going down and down and down. And that setback that's a day or two can turn into weeks, months, or years. So we have to learn to tap into our resilience, stop beating ourselves up that we didn't achieve our daily goal or weekly goal or monthly goal, and bounce back, get back on track. And the way you get back on track is, what do I want and why is it a must? Get back to your why. Why did you decide to take action on this goal or dream? Why is it a must for you? How is it going to change your life? How is it going to help you create a life that you love? So those are the 4 steps. Those are the 4 steps to kind of help you to level up your life, to figure out what it is that, how you can create a life that you love. Those are the 4 steps that I work with all of my coaching clients on. Those are the 4 steps in my course, You Have the Keys Now Drive. Those are the 4 steps that have helped so many people just create a life that looked unrecognizable, as Lisa Nichols says. Like, there's no way that I would have ever imagined that that guy that was stuck in that office, that, was stressed out, overworked, burnt out. There's no way that Danny Stone would know that he'd be sitting here today speaking on international stages, have a book that's reached 8 countries, a podcast. I wouldn't have known all of this. There's no way I would have known that. But those are the 4 steps that helped me to get here. So many of my coaching clients, and I've taught it to so many other people. So that's the 4 steps to create the life that you love. Again, anybody who's interested in the You Have the Keys Now Drive course, you can just let me know. I'll send you the information about that. It's really, I break all of this down into 5 keys, 5 life key principles, and 5 habits that have helped me and my coaching clients just like take our life to another level. So that's the You Have the Keys Now Drive course. But any questions about anything that we've talked about today? I hope this has been valuable for you. Logical said, nice work. Any questions? I'll stick around. The book you can get on Amazon. You can get the book You Have the Keys Now Drive on Amazon, or you can get a digital copy if you click the link in my bio on Instagram or Facebook. You can get a digital copy. I think it's like $5 or something for the digital copy. And I'll put the link here in the show notes and in the comments for anybody who's interested in getting the book as well. That is it. That's the 4-step framework that has helped me and coaching clients change our lives. All of my students who are in the You Have the Keys Now Drive course, this is the kind of framework that they're all learning, going from, working in their corporate jobs to launching businesses, writing books, standing on stages, national TV, finding loving relationships, all of this stuff. There's been so many wins and success stories from this framework. And it's because people do CMA. They commit to having these conversations, learning the information. They meditate on it. They go through all the coaching videos, and then they apply what they're learning. So that is it. Marjorie said, thanks, Coach Stone. You're very welcome. You're welcome. So that's it. I'll put everything in the show notes. Again, if you're watching on Instagram or Facebook, you can click the link in my bio. You can grab the book. I think I also have the link to the You Have the Keys Now Drive course there. If you're watching here on YouTube or you're listening on the Grind and Gratitude Show podcast, I'll link that up in the show notes. So that is it from me. I am Danny Stone, also known as Coach Stone, is in the building. I help you break through limiting beliefs, get clear about what you want, develop your own personal roadmap so that you can create a life that you love.